Hello everybody and welcome back to Combe Valley Campers. Today we're going to be talking about the different types of battery. When it comes to providing your camper van or motorhome with electricity whilst on the move or whilst you're off grid, you have lots of different options on the type of battery you can use. Luckily today we have James from Rayne Automotive to help us decipher the language of leisure batteries, because there's lots of different choices and we're here to explain all about them. In front of us right now we have only 4 flavours and we're here today to explain exactly what they are and why you would use them. Is that about right?
Yeah, what, why, and then how to choose which one is
brilliant.
Perhaps going to be the one for your van, your conversion.
Excellent. So let's explain what we've got. Just first of all, we have a lead acid vehicle battery.
Yeah, traditional starter battery that you'll find in the front.
Yep, under the bonnet or wherever it might be in your vehicle. Yep. We have a lead acid leisure battery. We have an AGM leisure battery, and then the big impressive blue thing at the end there is a Victron lithium battery, leisure battery. And yeah, that's kind of blown me away already. So James, would you please explain, well, let's start with the vehicle, because when it comes to the wiring system on your camper van or motorhome, especially if you're doing it on a budget, we have seen that, and I've worked on vans in the past where people would use a lead acid vehicle battery for their leisure battery. Now, it can be used, but it's not ideal. Why?
So you're right. It can be used, and you'll put it in and it will work, and you'll go, oh, I don't know why people use a leisure battery. This works fine. The problem is the internal makeup of the battery is slightly different. So what you actually find is if you put a comparable vehicle battery and a comparable leisure battery in, the vehicle battery is going to maybe do you 30 to 150 charge-discharge cycles, and then it's going to be on its way out. It's going to have reduced capacity. It's not going to take the charge as well. Whereas you put the same leisure battery in, same amp hours, the internals are different. You're going to get, a couple of hundred cycles out of it pretty well when it's treated the same. That's the main difference. So
it's just not designed to
it's not the right tool for the job. It's not the thing to use. They are different. It's not just a different label stuck on the outside of them. They do a different job. In the same way that if you put this in to start your van battery, it's not going to do many favours. Not going to last very long at all.
So their makeup is different, although they're both called a lead acid battery.
Yes.
Their makeup is different because that is designed purely for cranking the starter motor. So it's the cranking amps.
Yeah, primarily for.
And a discharge is fast, which is designed for a fast discharge, whereas this is designed for a slow discharge, and the makeup of the plates and the acid within that is slightly different as well. In fact, we kind of have jumped a step because we wanted to talk initially about what is a battery. Should we go into that in real layman's term? What is a battery?
Yep, so a battery is just a way of storing power. It's going to take power from various charging sources, store it in the battery, and then allow you to use it when you want to use it, rather than having to have that power source present directly to run your fridge lights. Put the power into the battery, and when you want to use it, take it out of the battery.
Excellent. A storage bank.
Exactly. It's just a storage method for electrical power.
Brilliant. Super. So we covered that lead acid vehicle battery.
Yeah,
that's nothing.
That's out now.
We can discard that. We know that's not the right tool for the job. We have 3 leisure batteries in front of us that are designed for the job. A lead acid, an AGM and a lithium, all very impressive, all very good pieces of kit. They're branded. What did you want to cover first? Did you want to go over the lead acid and what it does and its advantages?
Yeah, we'll go sort of pros and cons of each one, and then that's going to lead us into how to pick which one's for you. So lead acid.
The lead acid then.
Pretty good in terms of functionality. cheaper end of the spectrum, generally speaking. Big downside of lead acid is the amount of gas they give off.
Right.
That's hydrogen and other gases when they charge, because they're not sealed. So this one has a hole for a vent on the end there, and under normal use, you're going to get stuff come out of that. For that reason, we try and avoid anywhere where they're going to be inside the habitation area of the van. If you have an external battery box, external battery tray, these might be good because cost effective, pretty, amp hours per pound, you're going to find more value there than you are here, certainly, and in that order. So external battery boxes are great. Other than that, these days we tend to avoid them. If you do have to put one inside, gas type battery box, high level vent to the outside world for anything to.
And I've seen those before. There's like a little L-shaped pipe and then a clear pipe that will go through the floor. And it's. I remember when I first learnt about building camper vans, for example, if there is a battery in the vehicle, it should be vented, and that is exactly the case for a lead acid.
Absolutely. You're right. If there is a battery, ideally vented, massively important there. Nice and important here, and nice and important there. But they will give you a lot more of the troubles of which the vents are designed to stop.
Perfect. And in terms of this battery, how do I know if it's a lead acid?
Good question. Generally speaking, the best way is to find the part number, find the original information from the manufacturer, but good rule of thumb is on the front of these other two, you will see lithium and AGM printed. You won't see them on that. So if it's got the absence of gel, lithium, AGM, carbon sometimes, but pretty much if it just says leisure battery, it might well be a wet battery. But check on, use the part number on the top, punch it into your search engine of choice, and see what the information is saying on there.
And so this one was used in a camper van. The owner has learnt more about batteries and has actually decided to ditch this one. So this will be recycled, and they have moved on to an AGM battery.
Yes.
For good reason. Exactly. Is that something we can move on to?
Exactly as we're going to do right now.
Perfect.
I suspect.
So
AGM is they're not a liquid-based battery inside. They are, under normal conditions, they are sealed with a valve that will only open at a certain pressure. So that's why they will not give you the same problem as them, because it has to reach a certain pressure, which shouldn't be reached under normal operating conditions if you're following all the guidelines of the battery manufacturer. For that reason, it's recommended to vent them. We probably would say vent it, yes, but it's just not likely to cause you as many problems under normal circumstances, but realistically vent it anyway.
So one of the main things then, it's in terms of capability as a leisure battery, it operates in the same manner?
Similar, I mean, we'll ignore the venting discussion for now, because that could go on for a while. But in terms of functionality, because of the way the internals of this battery are made, it is more suited to some of the quicker discharges that you might get with an inverter or other high loads than a lead acid battery. It won't degrade as quickly, which means it's going to have probably a longer lifespan on average than a wet battery, but you will pay more money for that function as well, as a result of the fact that it's got a slightly more complex makeup, and it's built a little bit differently. So
despite them looking the same on the outside, they are entirely different beasts.
They're very, I mean, if you were to slice these in half, that one would make the table very wet, and don't slice them in half, they're lead acid. This is not to be done anywhere by anyone who's not a professional battery recycling facility, but this one basically looks like it's full of cotton wool that's soaked in acid. It's a fiberglass matting, so I believe AGM is absorbent glass matting, which is the internals, and other than that you're going to get all of the lead plates in there, and that's where the reaction takes place as the power goes in and out, and all of that kind of.
And in terms of cost,
yes, these are more expensive. I mean, you can get a battery in that size that's going to give you the power you need, sort of in wet terms, for under £100 certainly, whereas these are more like 150-ish at present, as it stands today, whenever that may be. But yes, they are more expensive, but it's going to last longer.
Yeah.
So over the time of your motorhome's life, you'll probably end up spending less money on batteries with the AGM than you would with the lead acid. Perhaps, but it depends how you use it. It's another one of the right tool for the right job.
And in terms of usage, say I wanted to keep my lights on until the battery died, I know there's obviously an amp hour figure on the front of these. These are slightly different. In fact, this says 12 volt 100 amp hours on the front of this battery, whereas this one says 12 volt 95. Now, bearing in mind they're two different makeups, will this keep my set of LED lights on in my van for the same amount of time or not?
No.
Okay.
These two will give you different amounts, different temperature. There's a lot of variables that will do it, but as you know, you're probably talking, if you had 4 LED lights, wired them up to this battery, left them on 4 days,
right?
Maybe you'll get to the level where you should be thinking about recharging it. That one, probably 5 or 6 days, 5 days maybe. But yeah, not too dissimilar.
Okay, super. Well, I'm really quite impressed with that already. But we shall move on to the beast in the corner over there, the lithium battery. Before we get into this lithium battery, we wanted to just have a quick chit chat about gel batteries. We don't have one with us.
Give a word to gel batteries.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, another technology that people use, very similar to AGM in its how it functions, how it performs, what its advantages and disadvantages are. But generally speaking, these days AGM's more popular and a little bit more cost effective, and it gets rid of a couple of the little downsides that gel batteries have. So in most situations, you're probably going to take AGM over gel, but it's worth considering that they are out there and we haven't ignored them completely.
No, well, we had to say a bit about them.
Yeah, we did, yes.
Cool, but onto the exciting...
Onto the big blue one.
Yes, I really like it. Battery. I mean, that's just impressive.
It's actually not that big, considering the other batteries are all around 100 amp hours and this is a 200 amp hour battery.
Wow.
So you can already see that it's more space effective, and the other thing is, for a 200 amp battery, I'm not strong, I can lift that, I can't lift those.
Yeah.
They're also very, very light as a technology.
Okay.
It's completely different. All of these batteries are based on lead, hence the weight, hence why they're all called lead something or other.
Yeah.
There's no lead in this. This is lithium, different metal, completely different technology, different number of cells, even different terminals on the top. Just not this. Other than it's a battery and it stores power, not the same cup of tea. Performance is different.
And it's intelligent as well in terms of its makeup, because obviously we've got the battery down here, but there's a module up top, right?
It's got Bluetooth, because Bluetooth
wins.
Yeah, exactly. And it's got a small internal battery management system, and then it's got these data cables on the side which you'll link into a battery management system, of which there are a couple of different choices depending on what you're doing in the rest of the van, that basically will control any over-under voltage, over-under temperature, imbalance situations, because when you've made the investment into a battery like this, you want it to be looked after. And these batteries can typically do up to 5,000 charge cycles versus... the biggest you'll find over there is 600, 700.
So say an AGM is 600, 700.
Yeah. So these can last 15 years. Wow. That's a reasonable life expectancy for a well-maintained, good quality lithium battery.
We can't just have that as a standalone though, can we? Or is it possible to have this? Because I know there's a lot of power management that goes with this, right?
Yeah, we would always put at the very least either a small or a micro battery management system in for these data cables to connect to, and then your loads, your output ways of draining the battery, your lights, fridge, etc. will connect to the battery management system, and also the chargers will connect onto that as well. Go up onto the battery, and then should there be anything in the battery that's not quite balanced, it's going to disconnect them intelligently rather than waiting for it to cause damage to the battery. And obviously when you've spent the money you've spent on one of these, you don't want that to happen.
Yes. Now, you said they last 15 years, which, if we're going to put it into cost effectiveness, if you're using them over that 15 years... Yes,
that's when they start to win.
That's when they start to win. But, we are July 2021. at the time of the video release, or the video, making the video, what is the cost of this battery?
It's in excess of £2,000 for the battery.
Ow.
So it's a significant investment, and it's not, generally speaking, for weekend campers, maybe the odd holiday camper, we don't tend, you can have whatever you want in there, but we don't tend to recommend these. These are for high drain systems, if you're building a coffee van where you've got that real intense drain of power from that kind of thing, you would stack, maybe 3, 4, 5 of these together, and that will run you for a day or two of making coffees and all that.
Yeah.
Really intense systems or live-in systems. 240
volt base system. Yeah. We've got friends of ours that have a bank of these with the appropriate management system, and everything they run in their, I'm going to say motorhome, but it's an off-grid exploration vehicle, isn't it?
Yes.
And everything in that vehicle is actually 240 volt. The only 12 volt system I think they have in the vehicle is actually the lighting.
Yeah.
So to run almost a 240 volt miniature home, that is a perfect solution.
Yeah, because if you were to get the amount of power you require to run these things, which is colossal, in them you are going to put so much weight into the vehicle. We've already said, I think this is 18 kilos, they're 28, 29, and this is double the ampage, 3.5, 4 times the usable power.
Yeah. Because
lithium batteries you can take down to 80, 90% of the power that's in them.
Wow, okay.
Lead batteries, only half of that power that's in them is usable regularly.
So an impressive piece of kit for lots of different reasons.
Yeah.
If you really feel the need for a lithium system or a lithium battery in your system, do some really good research first. Again, when it comes to any of these batteries, I think seeking the advice of an expert before you make that decision is highly recommended.
Yes.
And that's why we have James here, James from Rayne Automotive. Is there anything you wanted to say about the batteries that we hadn't covered already? I mean, they're excellent pieces of kit and perfect for their purpose in each application, but is it a good, better, best situation with the lead acid and AGM, or is it purely based on the application you're putting in?
I think it's exactly that. I think each battery has the place where it will be the right battery to use. These will always, generally as you went down the ladder, they will always do the job of the cheaper, slightly less technologically advanced battery, but it's money you might not need to spend, space you might not need to take up, when the other job will do it fine. So it is a case of working out what job you want that battery to do, what function is that battery going to perform for you, and then you can use that to decide what the appropriate battery is going to be for your camper, motorhome, business vehicle, power supplies. Victron even use these they've made a Tesla ambulance.
Wow.
So they can go out and charge up people who have run out of power in their
electric
cars.
They've got,
they've got.
I thought you were talking about an ambulance that's based on a Tesla.
No, they've got thousands of amp hours of this and big inverters, and
oh my gosh,
they plug in and charge up people who have
stuck on the side of the road.
Stuck on the side of the road in their electric cars.
There's the full capabilities of those.
Yeah, so there's an awful lot of potential in all of them, but it's about picking the right tool for the job.
Super. I think that's a great place to wrap that up. Thank you very much again, James. If you have any questions regarding any of your leisure electric systems and you've exhausted all of the information from our videos, please head over to see James at Rayne Automotive. At which address?
So you can visit our website at www.rayneautomotive, which is RAYNE automotive.co.uk.
Super. Well, thank you so much for coming down again. You've certainly taught me a lot today. I thought I knew at least a little bit about batteries, but you've taught me a lot today, and I hope you guys have learned something from it too. Thanks again.
Thank you.
And we shall see you on the next one. Bye-bye.